Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde in Lagos, Nigeria. We begin in Somalia, North Africa, where hundreds of residents gathered in the Peace Garden in Mogadishu to show their support for Palestine. Many participants waved Palestinian flags and displayed banners stating Gaza is not for sale and Somalis stand with Palestine. They criticized U.S. President Donald Trump's suggestion that residents of Gaza should relocate to Egypt and Jordan, calling it a trap and a suggestion that undermines justice. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has issued a strong response to U.S. President Donald Trump, insisting that South Africa will not be bullied and will defend its national interests and sovereignty. This comes on the heels of President Ramaphosa's signing of the expropriation bill, which has sparked international debate. The American president had threatened to halt all U.S. funding, calling the law a massive human rights violation. President Ramaphosa directly addressed Trump's recent claims that certain groups in South Africa are being mistreated with the bill. He was speaking at his State of the Union address in Cape Town.
Witnessing the rise of nationalism, protectionism, the pursuit of narrow interests, and the decline of common cause. This is the world that we, as South Africa, a developing economy, must now navigate. But we are not daunted to navigate our path through this world that constantly changes. We will not be deterred. We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied. We will stand together as a united nation, and we will speak with one voice in defense of our national interests, our sovereignty, and our constitutional democracy. By standing true to our values, by harnessing our unique strengths and endowments, and by forging a common purpose, we can turn these trying circumstances to our advantage and propel our country forward.
Well, at that State of the Nation address, President Ramaphosa also announced plans to revitalize the mining industry by introducing a new mining rights system later in the year. This initiative aims to boost mineral beneficiation within the country with a focus on increased investment in exploration and production. Mr. Ramaphosa highlights the potential for South Africa to tap into the vast mineral wealth as part of efforts to address high unemployment and revive the economy. To discuss this further, we're now joined virtually from Johannesburg, National Administrator of Mining Affected Communities United in Action, Makua Sabelo Mnguni. Thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Yeah, thank you to yourself, and good afternoon to the listeners, the viewers at home. Thanks for having us.
Well, how does your Makua, how does this organization view President Ramaphosa's announcement regarding the new mining rights system?
No, thanks. Amongst other things, we are welcoming that now we are embracing technology in terms of system administrations. Like where at the moment we are sitting with mining rights system that it's normal, or rather it's manual. So this automation might bring one ability to access information. At the moment, as mining affected communities, we have a challenge in terms of accessing documentation, particularly mining rights, to say we have a company that is mining in our doorstep, as to how did they acquire the license, whom is the rightful mining right holder. We are still having challenge in that regard, accessing information. So there might be a potential that this automation or this digital system might make information accessible for us, because it's very difficult for us to start opening engagement without not knowing who's the actual mining operator, or rather who's the mining right holder, who's mining in our doorstep. We've been facing the challenges. So with the system, we are hoping that it will make information accessible. However, though, it also gives a negative, rather, view in terms of the system that is created. It's created for rather foreign investors or commercial mining. There was no mention in terms of expanding the mining rights system or the mining rights permit for artisanal miners or small scale mining. So we are hoping that maybe the Department of Petroleum and Resources will expand more in terms of what does this new system entail, because there was no mention of artisanal mining and small scale mining, of which we know artisanal mining exists while once the commercial miner or the multinational companies cease mining. Once they abandon the mine, that's where artisanal mining and small scale mining should come in to ensure there's continuation of economy, there's continuation of job creation. At the moment, 2024, we saw 10,000 mine workers who were retrenched in the sector. So we are hoping these new systems and regulations will shed a light in that regard, because as mining affected communities, we are not benefiting in mining. Instead, we are negatively impacted. So what perpetuates this impact, is negative impact, amongst other things, is access to information. We can't track and know who's mining in our doorstep, legally or illegal.
Well, increased investment in exploration and production is a key part of the new initiative. Do you think this focus on the benefits within South Africa will positively impact local communities, or perhaps it could lead to further displacement and exploitation?
Yes, I think that move or the idea of local beneficiation and exploration of minerals is something that should have been done long time ago, because we've lost a lot of minerals as a continent because of not locally beneficiation our own minerals. We have lost and we've seen a lot of environmental degradation because of mining. So as a continent, I will speak for the continent itself. As a continent, we are losing a lot in terms of sending raw materials, of our raw materials. So we are looking at the states within the continent. Maybe South Africa will be leading in this regard, seeing our states beneficiating, locally beneficiating our minerals, so that we say once we export finished product. So obviously, this opens a new economy. So when it opens a new economy, it opens more job opportunities for local people. However, it also brings a concern of displacement, because now they haven't expanded in terms of which province will be earmarked, or which province has been identified as a potential host of this new local beneficiation of industry. So we've seen in previous mining towns that mining is causing displacement. Mining is causing negative environmental impact in local communities. We are not benefiting. If maybe we can expand, as much as they're introducing new industries, which we believe also will benefit, and something that should have been done long time ago. However, we are sitting with the current mining legislation that doesn't recognize communities as key stakeholders. Remember, this new industry will be going into communities or into a land that is occupied by people. So if we are sitting with current regulations that are not recognizing we as communities, doesn't allow us to have a say in terms of decision making, we are seeing continuous exploitation. Will be displaced, will be removed, forcefully removed without recourse. At the moment, we don't have any recourse once we are negatively impacted, particularly in terms of housing. We are losing a lot of our housing are getting degraded because of current mining operations. Where is open cast, where is underground cast? As mining affected communities, we are impacted, we are negatively impacted. So this new industry, as much as it will be a boost to the economy, but we need to look at the regulations. We as a movement, we believe that as much as it's exciting exploring this new this industry, regulations and policies should be leading in the forefront, particularly ensuring that basic human rights of affected communities are adhered to. Because at the moment, they are continuously violated by how mining is taking place. We've seen mining is dividing communities. If I can use Congo for an example, Congo is the communities where mining is taking place are divided because of the regulations. One, secondly, is because of public and private partnership that our states are having with foreign investors or mining companies that are excluding us as communities who are impacted. Secondly, as much as it creates employment, we are sitting with systems of employment that doesn't give employment security or job security, whereas we are seeing people being contracted via contracts, no permanent employment that we've seen. We've seen 10,000 jobs being lost in the mining industry in the previous year. So it is raising more questions than answers. It is more, it gives an impression that our states will continuously work with private sector, particularly to put profit before the people. We are not saying we are anti-mining or mining should not take place, but mining should be responsible. Mining should benefit local people. Mining should benefit states. It should benefit continent. South Africa is a poor continent, yet it sits with all the critical minerals that are earmarked for the green energy that is being spoken about internationally. We are seeing advocacy around moving from fossil fuel energy to the renewable energy. Africa is being identified as that continent that needs to supply that new economy. The same economy, there are no regulations that are saying how are we going to participate as local people? How is it going to create more employment? How is it going to amplify our energy crisis? We have an energy crisis as a continent. We are having water issues, and we know mining uses a lot of water. We are having a lot of water shortage and stuff. Okay, thanks, man.
Apologies there. I didn't mean to cut you, but I was, alluding to what you were saying. It's a big issue on the continent, in South Africa and on the continent. But we'll wait and see, how the new mining rights system that President Ramaphosa has said will come in later this year. We'll wait and see how it all pans out. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Sabelo Mguni, National Administrator of the Mining Affected Communities United in Action. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you again. Good evening.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has issued a special appeal for peace in the Democratic Republic of Congo, warning that the humanitarian situation in Goma is dire, even as thousands have been killed and hundreds of thousands more displaced due to the ongoing violence. Speaking ahead of key summits of the East African Community, the Southern African Development Community, and the African Union Peace and Security Council, Mr. Guterres called for an immediate halt to hostilities. He will be traveling to Addis Ababa next week and will be part of the African Union Peace and Security Council Summit, where discussions on restoring stability in the Great Lakes regions are expected to take center stage in Ethiopia.
We are at a pivotal moment, and it's time to rally together for peace. Tomorrow, leaders from the East African Community and the Southern African Development Community will take part in a summit in Tanzania. And the focus will be addressing the crisis in the face of the offensive by the M23, supported by the Rwandan Defense Forces. Next week, in Addis Ababa, I will take part in a summit-level meeting of the African Union Peace and Security Council, where this crisis will be also front and center. In advance of these crucial gatherings, I want to make a special appeal for peace. Thousands of people have been killed, including women and children, and hundreds of thousands have been forced from their homes in the eastern DRC. We also see the continuous threats by other armed groups, either Congolese or foreign. All of this is having an enormous human toll. We have countless reports of human rights abuses, including sexual and gender-based violence, forced recruitment, and the disruption of life-saving aid. The humanitarian situation in and around Goma is perilous. Hundreds of thousands of people are on the move, with many of the previous sites hosting displaced people north of the city now looted, destroyed, or abandoned.
Escalating violence in South Kordofan and Blue Nile states in Sudan is claiming more civilian lives. Deputy spokesperson for the UN Secretary General, Farhan Haq, was given a report from his colleague, the UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Sudan, Clementine Nkweta Salami. She reports recent shelling in the area, which had killed scores of people and injured dozens more.
Turning to Sudan, the resident and humanitarian coordinator in the country, Clementine Nkweta Salami, warned today that South Kordofan and Blue Nile states are on the brink of catastrophe, as the violence there continues to escalate at an alarming rate. As of yesterday, the civilian death toll following recent shelling in South Kordofan's capital, Kadugli, had increased to 80, with some 3 dozen others injured. In a statement, Ms. Nkweta Salami condemned the reported use of women and children as human shields in Kadugli, as well as the obstruction of humanitarian aid and the detention of civilians, including children. The western Nuba Mountains, which extend into South Kordofan and West Kordofan states, are among the areas in which famine has been identified by the Famine Review Committee of the International Food Security Phase Classification System, or IPC. Ms. Nkweta Salami stressed that humanitarian needs also remain critical in Blue Nile state, amid reports of mass mobilization for conflict. She also called on all sides to the conflict in Sudan to de-escalate tensions, protect civilians and civilian infrastructure, and allow humanitarian organizations safe and unrestricted access to those in desperate need.
A 4th group of Kenyan police have arrived in Haiti to help combat violent gangs. This is in spite of a partial U.S. funding. Gangs control 85% of the Haitian capital. For the past 10 years, more than 17,000 Nigerians have been living in Chad as refugees. They were forced to leave their homes and entire lives behind in Nigeria by the Boko Haram insurgents. And since 2014, they have sought refuge in a remote area of Chad. Channels Television's Mo Sani Aliyu is currently at the Dar es Salaam refugee camp near Baga Sula in northwestern Chad and has this report.
This is the Dar es Salaam refugee camp on the northernmost fringes of the massive Lake Chad basin, deep inside the Republic of Chad. Inside this sprawling camp, thousands of Nigerians, young and old, women and children, have spent between 10 to 12 years seeking refuge from the Boko Haram insurgents who forced them out of their homes. They arrived here with only the clothes on their backs after walking for several days through the marshy Lake Chad region. However, thousands of their family members and friends did not make it. The area is remote, without the bare necessities, no electricity, running water, internet access, and tarred roads. It's just a lonely sandy road in and out of the area, hundreds of kilometers from anywhere. The area around Bagasulla itself is hot, with a landscape that is dazzlingly bright. It's a toasty 39 degrees Celsius during the day, and at night, temperatures plummet to about 18 degrees Celsius. Bulama Usman Zakiru of Block 11 told me how difficult life has been over the past decade. He says there were more than 18,000 Nigerians living here at a point in time, but some have left for other places in Chad to escape the harsh camp life. He also says from 2024 to date, the refugees received food assistance only once. I later met some officials of Borno State government inside the camp, taking a census of the refugees. Although they refused to speak to me on camera, I gather they were making arrangements to start repatriating these refugees back home to Nigeria. It appears this time that the promise is being kept because about 20 odd trucks have arrived here already. These refugees will, however, have to travel over a very unforgiving terrain from northwestern Chad to Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. And one can only imagine the level of stress this will add to the mothers and their babies. The trip itself is a logistical headache, The refugees and their goods will have to disembark and switch vehicles twice. What happens after they arrive in Nigeria and the fate of the rest of the refugees still waiting their turn to be taken home from Dar es Salaam refugee camp remains to be seen. From Dar es Salaam refugee camp in Chad, Mo Sana Aliyu reporting for Channels Television News.
The Nigerian Red Cross Society has raised an alarm over the country's staggering road accident rates, revealing that they account for nearly 200,000 of the 2 million annual road traffic deaths worldwide. This is according to the president of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, Mr. Oluyemisi Adiaga, who was speaking at the launch of the Safe Steps Road Safety Campaign at Victoria Island, Lagos. Mr. Adiaga says there is need to urgently address issues of road safety crisis in order to curb the growing menace.
The need to curb road accidents in Lagos has necessitated the launch of Safe Steps Road Safety Campaign, organized by the Nigeria Red Cross Society in collaboration with other private bodies. This is aimed at training commercial bus drivers in Lagos and Abuja on responsible driving practices.
We should tell ourselves the truth because we need to be safe. I want to live 100 years if God permits. But if I expose myself unnecessarily and I don't take caution, I don't take precaution, then I have endangered myself. So that's the reason why we should all collaborate. To me, our collaborative efforts to maximize impact is necessary and compelling.
The representative from the State Ministry of Transportation provides safety tips for enforcement agencies and also asks motorists to obey driving rules.
It is our collective responsibility to create safer roads for all. The Safe Steps campaign focuses specifically on the unique challenges faced by danfo and cab drivers in Lagos and the Federal Capital Territory. These drivers are at the forefront of urban transportation, and it is crucial that we equip them with the necessary skills and knowledge to navigate our roads safely. We aim to tackle issues such as reckless driving, poor vehicle maintenance, limited awareness of traffic laws, and inadequate first aid knowledge. To support our commitment to improving road safety, we have put several safety initiatives in place through the ministries, departments, and agencies. One of the initiatives is the institution of LASRI, Lagos State Drivers Institute. This institute plays an essential role in fostering responsible driving behavior through comprehensive driver education programs. We are committed to ensuring all drivers possess the appropriate skills and knowledge necessary to operate vehicles safely.
Key stakeholders, including the National Association of Road Transport Workers, the Federal Road Safety Corps, Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, Vehicle Inspection Service, urge motorists not to drive under the influence of alcohol in order to prevent accidents.
When you are driving, you don't drink. My message to them is, please, when you are on the steering, do not drink. Before you go on that steering, you see that driver's license you look at. It's key. It's very, very important. Someone who does not have a valid driver's license is not expected to be on the steering. So ensure that your vehicles are roadworthy. Ensure that you have all the relevant documents before you go on the road.
The Safe Step Road Safety Campaign will provide targeted educational programs focusing on defensive driving techniques and safe road practices for 15,000 commercial drivers, motorcycle riders, and logistics operators.
And that's it on the program for today and for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde. Have a lovely weekend.